So for the couple people in here who don't know me, my name is Kaeden, and I spent my last 10 months serving with Planned Parenthood of Southwestern Ohio. And so I'm a procrastinator, and so I sat at like 11 o'clock last night, and I had a page, and it said POL-WTF did I learn? And I actually sent Eileen a picture of it, but she couldn't see it. And so I was just sitting there with this blank page, like wondering what I should talk about. And I could talk about the stuff that I did at my placement, but I don't really think that's interesting. Y'all can read my resume. And I think I did a lot of good work, and I did a lot of things that I'm proud of. But as I sat there thinking about what really defined my year, what is one thing, the biggest thing that I can take away, I realized that I spent this entire year afraid. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid when I got to Planned Parenthood. I was really terrified because everything was new. I was fresh out of college. I studied music, and now I was in public health. Like, how did that happen? I had never been in an office before. I never had to dress business casual before. I remember going to work one time thinking, wow, I'm a working stiff now. That's like, when did that happen? I mean, look at me. I don't look like I should work at a job that pays taxes. But so when I got there, I was so afraid. I was afraid that I would mess something up, and that I wasn't professional enough. I was terrified of ruining my professional reputation or ruining my ability to get a job in the future. I was afraid that people would think that I'm too queer because I'm pretty outspoken about it, and I was afraid that people would think that I only have one thing to offer, that I was a one-trick pony, and I was afraid that people just didn't like me, like people on my TSB team, all that stuff, and I was afraid that I would never be able to actually find a job that would allow me to live independently, that I didn't have marketable skills. I can tell you about all the times when I told people that I studied music, and they're like, what are you going to do with that? I was afraid of that. I was afraid about what I could do with that. But I tried to do my best work, and I think I did lots of good things. But then, it was the end of May, my supervisor does this thing where she works really hard all year and then takes an entire month off for vacation, which was the month of June. So the last time I met with her was at the end of May. And I just wanted to sit down and have a real conversation about, how she thinks I did, what stuff I could improve on, reflections for the year. And she told me lots of really great things, but one thing she said, the biggest piece of critical advice that she said, was that at the beginning I seemed really pensive and unsure of myself. She said that she thought that I hated Planned Parenthood at the beginning, which was completely untrue. Anyone who knows me knows that that's untrue. She said that I seemed really withdrawn, and that I didn't, at least at the beginning, give people the opportunity to get to know me, and give people the opportunity to experience who I am. Her advice to me was that I should let people get to know me a little sooner. And so in that moment, I realized that at best, all this fear that I had bottled up in myself was preventing me from showing my full potential. And at worst, it was turning me into the exact thing that I was afraid of becoming. Which is interesting. Ain't that a bitch? Sorry. Glad the CEO's not here. So interesting. So fast forward to my last day at my placement. Pretty much my whole department was gone, and I felt very lonely, and I was just sitting there packing up my desk, and I was afraid. I was afraid that I hadn't done a good enough job, or that people didn't appreciate me, or something like that. And of course, I was afraid of what would happen in the future. I didn't have a job lined up yet. I still don't. I submitted several applications and all that good stuff. But I was just miserable the entire day. And I actually, surprised, I struggled with depression. And so I was seeing my counselor that afternoon. And I remember driving there thinking that I was going to have to forewarn her that I would definitely cry. But I got there, and I didn't cry. I held it together, and I was like, wow, I'm surprised I really held it together right now. She's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just really exhausted. I think I don't even have the mental energy to be afraid right now. I think I'm just done. And I thought to myself, if I was that exhausted, if I had reached a point of just being so consumed with all this fear that I didn't even have the energy to do it anymore, what could I have used that energy on instead? What more could I have done if I hadn't have spent all that time being scared of what would happen, or what I should have done, or what I could have done, or what have you? I don't know the answer to that question. But so after realizing that, it would make sense to say, oh, now I realize that I don't have to be afraid, and that there's nothing to worry about, and that I will be successful if I just believe in myself, and I'm super confident. But that totally didn't happen. Like, all that fear is still there. But I realized that I need to do what I have to do despite it. I realized that having all that fear didn't make me do better work. In fact, it made me do worse, which is funny because you think that being afraid of doing badly would make you do better, but it actually makes you do worse. And so I can't say that it's not there anymore. And then I mentioned that I spent all this time worrying about messing up, and I also learned that I will mess up, which is also a scary realization to make, but it's okay. I learned that I will mess up, and that I can't be perfect all the time. So, because it's inevitable, it's stupid to be consumed by the fear of it. And I learned that I need to trust others to tell me when I'm messing up and to help me along the way, rather than trying to hold myself accountable and for everything and have the weight of my shoulders, have the weight of the world on my shoulders the entire time. But I need to trust people to be there for me and to help me when I'm messing up, and trust that others are actually telling me the truth. I spent a lot of time worrying about, that people didn't like me, or that I wasn't doing good work, or that I wasn't appreciated, even though people told me all the time that they really appreciated what I did, and that I had great ideas and things like that. I didn't want to believe them because I was so afraid. And I realized that that's silly. And so I'm still scared of a lot of things. But one thing I think that Public Allies has taught me is that being able to acknowledge and own that fear, and then set it aside, be like, hey fear, I'm gonna come back to you in a little bit, but you need to just sit down over here right now, because I got stuff I need to do. Owning it like that, I learned, removes its power. And so I learned that I can do it, and I can be afraid, but I've just got to fake it till I make it, as it were. Thank you.